Well, hello and welcome to a new video where we are going to take a look at the performance of Counter-Strike 2 on the Intel Xe graphics. And we're playing this right here at 720p with the low resolution preset. Alright, and this one is inside an i5-1140 G7 CPU, which means it's the low power variant of the Tiger Lake CPU generation. And this means, as you can see, that inside this DELL Latitude 7320 2-in-1 detachable tablet, this only feeds the CPU around the 10 to 15 watts, I think, on the long term. So yeah, you probably will see better FPS if you play this on a bigger machine, which is allowing its CPU to feed more watt or more wattage or higher wattage here in this case. And it also will increase if you have an i7 probably, because you will get more execution units in your Intel Iris or in your Intel Xe GPU as compared to the i5 variant, which we have here. But yeah, if it runs at 15 watt, which it's doing right now, the experience is definitely not too bad. I mean, you can see that our GPU is definitely not the one holding our system back here. It's rather the CPU, or rather the low clock speeds that it can reach with only 10 to 15 watts here. But at least it's only getting around 65 degrees warm. So I guess that's a plus. Obviously not for us if we want to game with this, but if you want to care about long-term longevity and usability of your devices, that's not a bad thing, I guess. But yeah, this means that this is representative of the low variants, the low power variants of these CPUs, but you will definitely see better performance if you have an, I think it's an i7-11885 CPU, because if you have this 5 at the end of your Tiger Lake CPU, that means that you will get a high performance variant, and if you have a 0 at the end of your CPU, that means that you will have the low power variant. So yeah, obviously not optimal here for gaming, but I think it's a good idea to show people that it's not the same for every system. If you have if you have an i5 in your system and you think you can play the game, or if you have the same graphics, because they vary wildly in their performance, even in the same generation, just because they are low and high power variants here. All right, but yes, so far I would actually deem this playable, but it's not that much better FPS-wise than the Intel UHD 620, which should be a lot slower than the Intel Iris Xe graphics here. And once again, I probably would guess that this is due to the fact that with this 11 to 12 watt that we're seeing right now on the CPU, it simply doesn't clock high enough for the Intel Iris Xe GPU to perform at its best. And that's kind of sad, really, because you can see that the CPU is basically at 100% utilization all the time, while the Intel Iris GPU really sits around the 40% mark here. So we would see around the 60 FPS here if we extrapolate this and just add the 50% that are missing for the 100% utilization of this iGPU here. So yeah, you will have to be careful to which CPU you actually have in your system and how much wattage the manufacturer is actually allowing the CPU to be fed. Because if it is a very low wattage variant that we are having or seeing here, then you will definitely not get the best performance out of your Intel Iris Xe. Because obviously you can see that it would definitely be a very playable experience, a lot more playable experience, because this really feels a bit laggy at times here, simply due to the fact that we don't get a consistent gaming experience here, probably due to our CPU clock speeds going up and down. And that's really sad, because it doesn't do the Intel Iris Xe justice, in my opinion, because it would absolutely deliver you a playable experience here. But then again, this is why you will also have to consider simply really which CPU the Intel Iris Xe is in, because it's really not just the GPU you should care about, but also your CPU. But yeah, from a performance standpoint, yeah, I kind of said that the Intel Iris Xe doesn't get to shine here as much as it could, but it's still a mostly playable experience, besides from these very obvious lags that we're having at some times here.